Hello everyone, welcome to my session. My name is Zhou Seo. I'm from Seattle Pacific University in the United States. It is my privilege I can share with you my dissertation research I completed last year. This is actually my first time attend Global Symposium. I'm very excited to share my work, and also I'm very excited to learn from you. And let's get started. I wanted to start with the significance of this topic, why I chose this research topic. And you might be aware of that, the context or the background, and in the United States, the costs of textbooks are a continual national problem or concern. And lots of literature indicate textbooks are substantial barriers for students, and in terms of their academic pursuits, academic access, and their performance or time to graduation rates or retention. And even though many institutions have recognized the need to reduce the cost of textbooks, they had taken many approaches to solve the textbook affordability problem, including implementing open and affordable textbook initiatives to mitigate the problem. The initiatives could initially encourage faculty to use open textbook or OER in their courses to reduce the costs, but a continued effort to sustain proved difficult. So this is the major reason that I'm very interested to look at the sustainability part of the aspect and to discover how U.S. higher education institutions sustain OER initiatives. So through examining the experiences and perspectives of the key players in those OER initiatives. Those key players are including faculty and administrators, librarians, and instructional designers who work in the front line of the initiatives as OER users, educators, and advocates. There are 3 questions or research questions in my research. So the first question, mainly I want to discover the driving force behind the OER initiatives. So how do those institutions make decisions about starting and implementing OER initiatives? The second question, and I'd like to discover the successful practices to sustain OER initiatives. The last one is to identify the successes and challenges and when sustaining OER initiatives through those individual experiences. So for the research design, and I used the exploratory 2 case studies with the qualitative methods. So the qualitative methods including individual interviews, focus groups, and document analysis. I select the 2 cases based on the quantitative data pool from SPARC membership list. SPARC refers to the Scholarly Publishing and Academic Resource Coalition. And based on the SPARC search, where it provides an OER directory, I found 56 institutions had OER initiatives at the time that I was doing the research. I was looking for some characteristics. First is public institution, or 2 or 4 years public institutions within a university system, and with an enrollment size of 20,000 and above. And so the reason why I chose the public institution and also within a university system, because at that time I was working at the institution and also in the doctoral program in the public institution within a university system. So it inspired me to focus on this type of institutions. The study focused on influential cases that involve successful practices in sustaining OER initiatives. So the 2 cases were selected based on first have ongoing OER initiatives before 2016. So by the time that it was over 5 years of sustaining OER initiatives. And from the SPARC database, 24 institutions had activities that have OER as a focus. eventually I selected 2 cases or 2 institutions who first responded to my request and as a cases to examine for this study. Data collection. Again, this is a qualitative research. I used interviews and focus groups. After selecting the 2 cases, and identified the OER point of contact from Spark website, and then I used a snowball or network sampling approach to recruit participants for a focus group. The categories, participant categories are faculty or professors and staff, and the staff are librarians or instructional designers and administrators, and those are all key players and in the 2 institutions. And then I did a 45 to 60 minutes interviews and also as well as focus groups. For another type of collection data, and they are documents. And documents are including institutional public OER initiative websites and some of the grants proposal reports, and they are all the open data. And also Spark OER directories also include very helpful the narratives about their initiatives, and also including the webinar video presentations. Again, this is the open public data. And then also including the resources shared by the participants while we're in the interview or focus group, including the blogs, OER examples. So let's take a look at the findings. So for the first question, this is to discover driving force behind OER initiatives. So what I discovered, one of the main reasons for the institution to start the OER initiatives was to remove barriers around the digital divide, cost, and access for student success. And it's very interesting to find out the push or to start the OER initiative involved mixed efforts from both top-down administration and grassroots activity from faculty, staff, and students. And the librarians and faculty members started the grassroots effort to address the affordability issues for students. The leadership also increased the priority of the affordability initiatives from the university system level. Here is a quote from a participant from one of the case sites explaining the main reason for the institution to start an initiative is affordability. So the initiative not only supports OER, but also supports low-cost materials through the libraries. This is other quotes related to people's ideology and interest in OER. And findings indicate that ideology and interest in OER drove faculty to start the grassroots effort in starting OER projects for their students. And it's interesting to see here the participants were interested in OER and passionate about the sharing, helping students, and enhancing student success. One of the participants indicated that the primary reason they started their own OER initiative for their class was to involve students to creating materials as part of the learning process. The second research question is to discover the successful practices to sustain OER initiatives. Cross-analysis, I identified a combination of institutional incentives and support as a successful practice of sustaining OER initiatives. Those incentives could be the award grants to faculty to adopt, adapt, or create free or low-cost alternatives to expensive textbooks. And course release is also an important incentive for faculty to develop OER because OER creation does take time and it is time-consuming. And other themes are connect and partner with key players, and faculty outreach strategies are also important to make OER initiatives sustainable. Some of the faculty outreach strategies including identify faculty champions and also one-on-one and community-based outreach. One-on-one sales approach to target high-impact courses. The faculty champions can spread the word about the OER grants program to the institution, and or to their department, academic units, and bring back helpful feedback to the system office so they can continually improve the initiatives. The following the two tables are the key players identified from the two institutions. They are administrators, bookstore, digital learning, academic technology, or Center for Teaching and Learning. And also they identify their fellow faculty are very important during the process. And grant office, instructional designers who support and help them design the open textbook or select the OER, the librarians, and also very important to guide the copyright, the license, has a license expertise on that. And interestingly, they also identify the marketing person and need someone who can get the word out, can really help with the faculty outreach. And project manager, and it's a role that can help faculty keep on track or make sure they have a schedule and reach the milestones or keep them on track and also make them accountable. So students are also very important, and so they all identify that students coming with the great ideas and then needs them on board. Also system office, so they are the ones providing grants and could also provide institutional repositories, and so they are the cheerleaders. So here's a quote from a faculty participant and talking about the importance to collaborate, to connect the key players together. So because making OER by yourself, it's impossible, and because it does take a village. So you have to have the students. It's also highlighting the importance to have the students on board as well. The research question 3 was to identify the successes and challenges when sustaining OER initiatives based on those key players' experience. So the first one, success, apparently is a reduced cost for students. Both institutions basically identified the millions of dollars in textbook cost saving are in process at that time when I was doing the research. And also the majority of participants spoke on how OER engagement or development helped faculty rethink their courses. So, and also they comment on the experience of using OER fulfilled them and also motivated them to seek new ways of teaching to help students learn better. And then the last one is basically providing faculty freedom to customize for teaching as they desire. And this one is particularly on that Creative Commons licensing feature that OER has, because it enables faculty to customize their content and also allow faculty to remix a chapter, add a content to make them more engaging. This is a quote from staff participants from the two institutions, and then they are basically support the faculties and who used OER and also created OER. They heard good reports from the instructors, and so they made their course more organized. And after adopting an OER or creating an OER, they end up revamping everything or rethink how they teach, or after they finish the one class and they want to do another one, and eventually they use OER across the board in the curriculum. So the challenges are very consistent with the current literature, and so there are basically some efforts. There are several factors discussed among the participants relating to the challenge. For example, the time and effort, inertia, and continual faculty outreach. Because adopting an open textbook means faculty have to change many things and get out of their comfort zone of how they used to know how to teach. So it is really hard to move away from the idea of a required book and let it go of that book, the idea. So basically that's some of the comments from the participants. And so they think it would be easier for people to just continue to do things the way they were doing rather than try something new. I think this is actually the challenge for many other things as well, for the new, trying something new or innovation. And another barrier is to really about that faculty outreach. And so multiple participants and also mentioned about and bring in the new people and getting people excited to build up the new program after first couple of the years. It was very fresh, but it could be struggling to find ways to make the program fresh, or find ways to bring in new audience, or find ways to amplify the voices of the existing champions. Another challenge is to need a master database to increase OER discoverability, and because one of the challenges that prevent adoption of OER in the literature was to difficulty of finding appropriate OER for specific learning objectives. So to have a master database and to increase the OER discoverability, and if it's easy for people to discover OER, find OER for their discipline, so that it will encourage OER adoption. Last one is experiencing personnel turnover, and turnover could happen for full-time OER staff positions or any other key players who support OER initiatives, for example, librarians, instructional designers, or administrators. Even student workers and who co-create OER with a faculty member if they graduated, and so it's also a challenge to sustain the OER effort. This is a quote from a librarian participant. He commented on there is no master database for people to search OER. There are many repositories, and so OER users to search in many different databases to feel satisfied that they have conducted a thorough enough search of available OER in their particular topic. So then this challenge is also correlated to the time and effort challenge of sustaining OER initiatives. So it takes time and effort for people to discover appropriate OER, especially for some disciplines like library science. To conclude, the success of the OER initiative is cost saving for students in both institutions. A combination of efforts were needed to sustain OER initiatives. It's interesting that the finding indicates it is important to have the efforts from the grassroots, from the bottom up, and also need some effort from top down to sustain grassroots effort in OER initiatives. Also, incentive-based practice, either financial or non-financial, and it's very important, like we discussed earlier. And also institutional support involving those key players and from institutions. And probably the key players may have different titles, and they are librarians, instructional designers, maybe some places they call it instructional coach or instructional learning designers or instructional technologists, and who support the technical side of the effort. And to sustain OER initiatives also requires those partnership and connecting among those key players. And lastly is the faculty outreach strategies and how to refresh a new program, how to getting new people to the program, to the initiative, to sustain the effort and keep it ongoing. This is a brief presentation about this dissertation research, and I do have this whole article available for you and through this link. If you scan a QR code, and you will find more details about this research as well as the OER work and effort at SPU in my institution. Those efforts were made by our faculty members and librarians as well as my colleagues in my office. Thank you for your time, for listening to my research. If you have any questions, comments, or thoughts, feel free to contact me. We can continue our discussion and conversation. Enjoy the symposium.